Just as it looked like things had taken a turn for the better, with a potential new romance on the cards, Carla finds herself fighting for her life following a brutal attack in the factory. Carla finally took the plunge in yesterday's episode when she took nephew Ryan's advice and let Lisa know how she felt about her. Meanwhile, Lisa's daughter Betsy has managed to find herself in trouble after being targeted by Logan and Maddie Radcliffe. The pair were furious to learn that younger brother Mason had shopped them to the police for stealing Tim and Sally's car, and cornered Betsy after seeing that Mason was hanging around with her. Maddie and Logan threatened Betsy into reminding Mason of where his loyalties should lie, and when they later met up again, Betsy had a proposal for them. Angry at Carla after learning that she'd hooked up with her mom, Betsy suggested to the brothers that she could hand over the keys to Underworld, offering them the chance to raid it, but only on the condition that they left Mason alone. Next week, when Betsy and Mason meet in the cafe, she tells him that he doesn't need to worry about his brothers coming after him anymore, as she has made a deal with them. His own safety is the last thing on Mason's mind, however, horrified by the idea that Betsy has managed to get mixed up with his violent siblings. In the meantime, Carla is deflated when Lisa makes it clear to her that she isn't ready for another relationship, particularly given Betsy's reaction to their hookup on the day after what would have been her late mom Becky's birthday. When Carla later returns to the factory, she's upset to find it has been turned over. But as she reaches for her phone to call the police, Logan emerges from the darkness behind her and hits her over the head. Carla collapses to the floor, unconscious. It's touch and go when Carla is brought into Witherfield General, and Lisa is immediately regretting giving Carla the cold shoulder as she sits by her bedside willing her to pull through. Thankfully Carla has improved enough by the end of the week to be discharged, though when Ryan and Roy arrive to take her home, she admits to feeling disappointed that Lisa isn't with them. Having seen the connection between the pair, Roy takes the opportunity to have a quiet word with Lisa, urging her to reach out to Carla for both of their sakes. Will Lisa let her past jeopardize things between her and Carla, or will Roy's wise words convince her to give love another chance? Meanwhile, it's of no surprise that Maddie finds himself hauled into the police station for questioning over yet another misdemeanor next week, but there's help from an unexpected place when none other than Alia turns up with a statement to confirm his alibi. Lisa's frustrated with Maddie seemingly being off the hook, but is thrown when he makes a snide remark about Becky's death whilst leaving. Becky was knocked down in the line of duty 3 years ago, and the fact that Maddie seemingly knows the details makes a furious Lisa believe that he must have had something to do with it. Determined to find out the truth, Lisa begins watching Logan and Maddie, but is soon caught out by the pair. When Alia returns to the station with a photo of Lisa, received from Maddie, she tells her that he's claiming to be a victim of police harassment. Lisa tries to make out that she simply bumped into them, but Kit is somewhat dubious. Yasmin is thrilled by granddaughter Alia's surprise return to the street, after she was last seen heading for a work placement with a Dublin law firm back in May. When she comes back onto the street, you can tell that she's been influenced by the place that she's been working, Sayer Khan reveals, after returning to set in September following maternity leave. It's quite corporate, her look has changed. She's obviously got a bit more money, her style is much more elevated, and she's taken time out for herself, rather than pouring everything into her family relationships, which have taken a lot from her. I think she's taken the opportunity to be a bit selfish, and I quite like that for her. Alia explains to her proud gran that she's now shadowing a more senior colleague, but Sayer admits that Alia's already having doubts over her new client. I think the moment you first see Alia back on the screen, you can instantly tell that she has misgivings about the situation that she's in, she explains. She feels very compromised. She doesn't quite know the facts of what's happening, but her spidey senses are telling her that something's not quite right. Alia doesn't really know how the situation is going to pan out, or if she's on the wrong side of the truth. She finds herself questioning her morals and what she thought she wanted. Another person happy to see Alia back is Adam, with the pair having shared a kiss shortly before her departure. When the pair reunite, he admits that he's missed her, and is keen to take her out to dinner for a catch-up. I don't think there's been that much contact while Alia's been in Ireland, Sayer tells us. So when they lock eyes back on each other, the spark that was there before Alia left has been completely reignited. Alia is trying to play it cool and be a bit coy, but she also knows what she wants, and that's him, so she's just gonna go for it. I think Alia has seen a different side to Adam that she didn't see when he was her boss, a much more caring and sensitive side, although she knows he can be a bit cocky and arrogant. Sayer adds. I think she likes being kept on her toes, and it's exciting for her. He's got big aspirations, and I think she finds that a turn on. Elsewhere, Nick and Toya are still managing to keep their relationship under wraps, but know that they can't go on for much longer without coming clean to their loved ones. Leanne, who is unaware that her sister and ex-fiancé have resumed their romance following the affair fallout, came close to discovering the truth last week when she nearly walked him on them getting frisky in the bistro office. Nick is also concerned about how son Sam will take the news, and next week suggests that Toya join him and Sam for dinner, hoping her increased presence around the flat may be a way of having Sam get used to the idea of seeing them together. Later comes up with a further cunning plan, telling Toya that they could break the news to Leanne and then disappear off on holiday so that she has time to process the news. Toya suggests they at least wait until after the 4th anniversary of Leanne's son Oliver's passing this week. As they convene in Victoria Gardens, Toya is touched when Leanne arrives with a rose bush, suggesting they planned it alongside Oliver's tree in remembrance of Toya's stillborn daughter. Later, in the office, Leanne is curious when she comes across an email on Nick's laptop detailing a holiday booking. Feeling that it's time to bite the bullet, Nick is all ready to finally reveal the truth to Leanne when they're interrupted by the unexpected arrival of the police at the flat. The officer breaks the news to Leanne that her dad, Leigh, has tragically died following an accident at work. As Leanne reels from the news, she heads out to find Toya so she can break the news in person, but Nick secretly decides to call Toya and warn her. Finding Toya in the bistro, it doesn't take Leanne long to realize that Toya already knows about Leigh. They're later joined by Les's former stepson Chesney, and as the three try to come to terms with the news, Toya admits to Leanne that Nick had called her. Leanne is not happy, and isn't convinced when Nick tries to claim that it just slipped out during a conversation about the rotas. Toya's defending of Nick also raises Leanne's suspicions, and when she later takes another look at the holiday booking on Nick's laptop, she decides to make a call to the hotel to check something out. Earlier in the week, Chesney manages to make an enemy after an incident in the Fresco car park. As Chesney arrives at the supermarket and signals to pull into a parking space, a van flies out of nowhere and pulls into the spot. Chesney is furious as the driver then waltzes off, and so decides to park his car, deliberately blocking the van in. The retaliation backfires when Chesney finds that his car has been damaged, and when a van later goes screeching by him whilst parked up outside his house, Chesney's shocked to realize that it's the same van from the car park. Working 2 jobs whilst trying to keep the family afloat is already taking its toll on Chesney, and this incident is the last thing he needs to add to his worries. He's dealt a further blow on learning the news about Leigh, and although he tells Bernie that he wasn't really that close to his uncle Leigh, we can see that Chesney is bottling up his feelings and putting on a brave face. Also next week, the Platts continue to disagree over Shona's wish to see son Clayton following his attempt to end his life in prison. Not wishing for Shona to have to deal with Clayton, who is incarcerated for killing David's first wife Kylie, David had been hiding visiting order requests sent to her via post and email. David visited Clayton himself, claiming that Shona wanted nothing to do with him, with the news of Clayton's suicide attempt coming shortly afterwards. Shona was confused when she learned that, having regained consciousness, Clayton no longer wanted to see her, and remains frustrated at David's lack of sympathy next week as she admits to desperately wanting to see her son. As she arrives on the ward, she sees Clayton in a side room handcuffed to a prison guard, but how will he react when Shona barges in determined to see her son?